Hi, and welcome to the first in a series of videos about polymer clay modelling. In these videos we're going to primarily talk about Fimo polymer clay, as it's the one that's most widely available where I live in the UK. Of course there are other brands. There's Primo Sculpey, there's Kato clay, and a couple of others that are quite well known. However, there are a lot of unbranded clays available on Amazon and Wish, and I really don't recommend that you buy those. There's very poor instructions with them. They seem to be a very much poorer quality and not as robust as the well-known brands. I'm going to go into a little bit about the history of Fimo. Until the 1930s, the main plastic in use was Bakelite, which in itself was a polymer clay. It was phenol-based and quite difficult to produce and had to be produced in a laboratory. The phenol base was highly flammable in its raw state. So scientists set about looking for an alternative, and one of the things they came up with was a polymer clay very similar to Fimo, which was a byproduct of the oil industry. However, they decided that it really didn't have the properties they wanted as a replacement for Bakelite. And in 1939 it was offered to Kathy Kruse, who was a German doll maker. She, due to the war, was struggling to find all the raw materials she needed to keep her doll production going, and so she set about experimenting with polymer clay. However, she too found it didn't particularly suit her needs, as she struggled to get the paint to adhere to the polymer clay. In 1941, her daughter, Sophie, known as Fifi, rediscovered the clay while tidying up one day, and she set about playing with it. She created lots of things including miniature figures, vases, shoe soles and mosaics. In 1954 she marketed her first modelling set. It was known as Fimoik, which is short for Fifi and her love of mosaic. By the mid-1960s the company was sold to Eberhard Faber, and it was renamed Fimo as we know it today. It was marketed under the brand of Faber until 2010, when Eberhard Faber's parent company, Staedtler, took over and started marketing it under its own banner. Today it's sold in about 60 countries. There are around about 115 colour combinations, and it's generally sold in two sizes. The most common is the 2-ounce block, or 57 gram, and some of the colours are available in larger packets of 350 grams, or 12.34 ounce. The smaller blocks retail for £2 or £3 each, and the larger ones between 10 and 12. There are various varieties of Fimo available. There's one specifically made for kids, which use bright colours and is easy to manipulate. Fimo Soft, which is quite soft right from the packet and needs very little conditioning. There are Fimo Effects such as these. These contain glitter. There are metallics. This blue is a translucent. There's also stone effect and glow in the dark, etc. To start with, like paint, I would go for the primary colours and white and black, because they can be mixed together, just like paint can, to make any colour combination. If you want to just start with, say, white, this can be coloured using alcohol inks, they can be coloured using chalk pastels or acrylic paints. They can be painted with acrylics once they've been baked. So the possibilities really are endless. So what do you need to get going with polymer clay? Well, of course you need the clay, you need your hands, and you need an oven to bake it in. A domestic oven is fine because it bakes at a relatively low temperature of 110 degrees Celsius. One thing to bear in mind before you start creating your models with polymer clay is that it does need to be conditioned before you use it. While the clay is quite soft straight out of the packet, it's not in a suitable state for modelling straight away. It needs to be conditioned. This is done by manipulating the clay and warming it, in your hands generally, until it's soft and more workable. Even if it's soft enough straight from the packet, you still need to condition it. And the reason for this is you need to distribute all the oils and the polymers and everything throughout the clay. If it's been sat for a while, they tend to dissipate a little bit and disperse, and it can go quite hard. If you don't condition the clay, it could be very brittle after it's baked and it won't hold any strength, and it'll be harder to work with until it's baked. As you can see, this is quite crumbly and easy broken, but just working it in my hands or rolling it on a solid surface will soon start to make it more pliable, malleable, and it does take a little while to do. It's an ideal job when you're sat in front of the TV of an evening, because it doesn't take an awful lot of thought. If you struggle with arthritis or weak hands, you can run it through a pasta machine, and we'll go into more details about conditioning clay in a further video. As you can see, it's in a much more workable and soft state now. That's about ready to use. If you found this video to be useful, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to see the rest in the series. Thank you for watching.